Ryan Jarrell here for MMA News, and it's always a pleasure to have my next guest on the show. It's Sexy Mexy John Castaneda, who's got another big fight, this time at UFC 295, right around the corner, November the 11th, against Kyung Ho Kang. John, how you doing?
Brian, I'm doing well, brother. Thanks for having me on the show again.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to have this next fight. I'm excited to talk to you again, and I love the hat. You're already prepping for the big opportunity in New York.
It's all up here. It's all up here, right? Absolutely.
So we
Yeah.
did speak after your last fight. That was in June. Big UD win over a tough opponent. Let me just
Yeah.
start there with what life has been like for you since. What have you been up to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we spoke last time about kind of just fully embracing the full-time athlete, I quit all other things in my life and just fully focusing on MMA. And so that last one was definitely one that I needed. This is just kind of a follow-up. This next fight is just a follow-up to that. I took a week off after my last fight, maybe 10 days total, and then right back to it, right back to the gym, and kind of trying to elevate my game and fix my holes. And we're just trying to evolve. Absolutely. So we're up here November 11th, and we're ready to put on a show.
When you say holes, I mean, I don't feel like you have a whole lot of holes in your game. You're a pretty well-rounded fighter. Is there one area though that you've kind of focused on more just to improve just that specific skill set?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so when I go back and I watch my fights, I'm very, very analytical, and I'm like, okay, what could I do better? And I think my volume output and my just my offensive combinations is something that I viewed as a whole. So I actually, this whole last camp in these last like 4 months, I've been working with a boxing coach, and really, really looking to get my volume, my punching volume up, and my strike volume up overall. So you're going to see a more active offensively fighter on November 11th for sure.
Now, I know you spent some time in Thailand. Did you go back there, or have you been pretty much stateside the whole time?
Nope, I'm here stateside. So I actually opened up my own jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai school here in Minnesota. Otherwise, I would have already been in Thailand for sure. But you gotta stay here for a little bit, at least the opening process of it. So I've been here. I've been kind of catering to that a little bit, but otherwise training full time. Yep, and I've been working with a boxing coach here in Minnesota where I live. Delico over at Work Boxing here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it's been going great. It's a whole nother aspect of the game that I've never really implemented with my style. So I'm excited to see how it comes, how it shows on November 11th.
Fantastic. How's the business side of opening this new venture been for you? I'm sure that's been a little challenging trying to balance that with your training.
For sure, absolutely. But my business partner is absolutely just the best. So he takes over. He's been taking over everything. Anytime I need time off for practices or anything like that, it really doesn't actually impede with training. I'm still getting the same amount of trainings that I was before. If anything, I'm just training more now because I go in and I teach twice a week, and then right after that, I'm basically rolling live with my students. But I look at it as training. You know what I mean? An extra calorie burn or whatever. So yeah,
For
it's
sure.
been great. It's been great. So I train at the Minnesota Martial Arts Academy here in Minnesota in Brooklyn Center, and we're just an affiliate school of them. So we're the academy, Plymouth, and
Okay.
Plymouth is the location of the new school. So
Very
yeah, it's
cool.
great.
Congratulations on all the success. And you got this big fight on a monster pay-per-view card. You talk about camp and just all the work that you're getting in. As far as specific training partners go, has there been anyone specific, one or two fellas to just kind of get you ready for this opponent?
Absolutely. So I think for me, I've always, fighting in the bantamweight division, I've never fought anybody with a bigger reach than me. So I have a pretty big reach especially for my height. I have a 71-inch reach, and Kang has a 73-inch reach. Not only does he have a bigger reach than me, but he's tall. He's 5'9". So I have a lot of training partners, but my main training partner for Kang's style, not only for his size, but stylistically as well, has been Noah Gasho, who's a young up and comer. He trains out at the Minnesota Martial Arts Academy. He's a well-rounded like Thai kickboxer. He's really, really good grappler, good wrestling, and he's literally the same height as Kang. He's got the same like build, same style. So it's been really great having guys like that, and some other guys, that I might pop in here and there that have longer reach than me and are, strikers and kind of have that same style and same tendencies as him. But yeah, just really I'm more so focused on my own game too, and having him worry about my own game and my own style. So yeah.
What are your thoughts, when you're going with a young up and comer, someone that has aspirations to be where you're at in the UFC one day? And, obviously you see some of these guys, and whether they're training partners or if you go to a new gym, they see someone like you, they want to test themselves. They want to know where they're at. What is your, I guess, thought process on that? Just, maybe not this specific guy that you're going with this camp, but just in general, when you're going with some of these younger guys that are hungry and want to see, what level they're at.
No, absolutely. So I don't really travel to a lot of outside gyms that often. So I like to kind of stick with my own team, my own training partners. I think it's a lot safer too. These guys aren't looking to knock you out or whatever. If you go to a new gym, people are exactly like you said. People are going to try to prove themselves. You're going to be doing stupid, crazy things. So my guys, I trust my guys. Going with young up and comers, which is literally what my team is. My team is full of just young up and coming guys looking to earn their stripes. So it's honestly humbling, and it's cool to see their growth over these last few years. And for me, I'm just trying to set a good example, a good role model. Obviously in my own school, I'm the only guy. I'm sorry, at the Minnesota Martial Arts Academy, I'm the only guy in the UFC in that room. So I'm sure these guys look up to me in that aspect. But training wise, I try to set a good example. I'm in there consistently, twice a week. I'm pushing the pace every single time, and I think that a lot of these guys have taken that work mentality under their own, as their own, and so that's kind of where they've seen a lot of improvements. I'm not saying that I'm the grandfather of everything, but by all means, like I play off of them just as much as they play off of me. And it's, like I said, it's humbling to see these guys get better and better every single week, and myself included. You know what I mean? I like keeping up with the younger guys, not that I'm like too old by any means, but I'm 31, and a lot of the times I'm training with guys who are 10 years 10 years younger than I am. So to be able to still keep up my pace and put it on them, it feels good. Absolutely. And vice versa too. You know what I mean? I'm sure they're like, damn, that's a guy in the UFC, 20 wins under his belt, whatever. So we feed off of each other, and it's a good dynamic we have.
I'm sure they're all going to be very excited to see you in this next fight. Again, on such a big card. Let's dive right in and talk about it, shall we? UFC 295, November 11th. You're fighting in New York at Madison Square Garden. How exciting is that? I mean, that's like a bucket list thing, right?
Absolutely. I mean, fighting just the Madison Square Garden part alone is like, fighting in the biggest, almost, I think, the biggest fight venue in the world. It's super historic. And honestly, when I first got the opportunity and the offer to fight on that card, I was like, okay, I get a fight at Madison Square Garden and I get a fight on a John Jones card. Like, let's go. Obviously the John Jones part fell through, but still, nonetheless, I'm very excited about it. It's definitely a dream come true, and I'm ready to put on a show in front of, a lot of people.
Do you think that the Jones Stipe matchup falling off, that this card loses a little bit of its luster? I mean, there's still two great title fights there at the top of the card, the main card. So it's still, all the fans are going to be tuning in watching, but does it take a little bit of a hit with that fight not being the main event?
You just worded it perfectly. It absolutely does take a hit, but there's still so many good fights. Not even just the top two cards, but the whole like main card, and even just like some of the the whole, a lot of the prelims are absolutely like bangers. So um, I've seen really good pay-per-view cards with really exciting fights that aren't as stacked as this one. So I'm very excited. I think it's still a banger of a card. And, yeah, of course it takes a hit without John Jones, the GOAT, the pound for pound best heavyweight of all time fighting. So, but we're ready to put on a show, and, guys like me, I'm ready to kind of make up for it. So,
So I'm not so certain that John Jones Stipe fight will ever happen at this point. With Jones being out for as long as he is, Stipe at his age. If they do fight, are you going Jones, or do you think Stipe can still get it done?
no, I'm going Jones all the way. I don't, I've never counted out John Jones. He's undefeated in my eyes, and even though he's got that one loss from technicality, he's the GOAT, and I don't think that Stipe was going to be the one that dethroned him.
Okay, fair enough. Let me get a couple of picks from you. Those title fights. Let's start with the 205 vacant title, Yuri Prohaska and Alex Pereira. Who do you see winning that one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Pereira. I think he's got the tools to shut him down and knock him out. To be honest, I counted him out against Izzy, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it anymore. So
And Prohaska's kind of wild, right? And Pereira is very technical, and obviously he throws some bombs right down the pipe. Do you think that's what we're going to see? He's just going to catch him and maybe finish him?
he's gonna catch him for sure. But also like stylistically, I think Izzy was very fast and he was really dialed in. It took him however many fights to beat Pereira. You know what I mean? And I think Pereira's going to be a little bit quicker. He's going to have the power shots to land, and yeah, I think he's going to catch him coming in and just be able to hurt him and then finish him TKO.
Okay, that's where I'm leaning too. Pavlovich Aspinall for the interim heavyweight title. Where are you going in that one?
So I know Pavlovich was actually going to be the backup for the fight, right? So he's basically coming off of like a full camp. But Aspinall, he's always been one of my favorite fighters. He's a lot more well-rounded, I think, and he's young, he's up and coming. He's ready to earn his stripes for sure as a top contender. So I'm gonna go with Aspinall, even though he's coming on kind of short notice terms.
Okay. Fair enough. And I've talked to you before. It seems like every week, every month that goes by, the MMA betting world or just the combat sports betting world is getting bigger and bigger. Do you? I mean, do you pay attention to those fight odds? Like, do you look at like if you're the underdog or the favorite, and does that give you any extra motivation?
I mean, yes and no, to be honest. So, I mean, I'm sorry to answer your question. Yes, I look at those odds, and I won't like dwell on them, but I'll take a peek at least like one time to see, okay, what's going on here? Like, what am I? Am I the favorite? Am I the odd? Whatever. But then I won't really think about it too much after that. When it does motivate me is when I'm the underdog. When I'm expected to win, I'm like, okay, cool. In my mind, I already know I'm expected to win in my own head too. So people think so as well. Like, cool. Doesn't change anything. Everything's different. But when I'm the underdog, I have a little sense of like, oh, okay, these guys like I'm being counted out. Like, all right, I got something to prove then. You know what I mean? So let's go put on a performance. But that's other than that, I really don't play. I don't really read into it too much.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Your opponent, you got a tough guy. He's a veteran, 8-3 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight win streak. What do you think we're going to see? Where is he most dangerous here in this fight?
Absolutely. I think he's dangerous everywhere, to be honest. I think he's a very, very tall bantamweight. He's a good boxer. He's got good, straight, clean boxing. I wouldn't say he's the best wrestler, but he's got decent jiu-jitsu as well. He's got good scrambles and he's got a lot of submission wins. Finishing power, I don't think he's got much of it, seeing as he doesn't have a lot of knockouts or TKOs or anything like that. So I'd say he's well-rounded. He's a good, clean, crisp boxer. He's got good jiu-jitsu, but there's a lot of holes in his game as well. I think I'm going to have the advantage in the wrestling category. And like I said, I've been working with a boxing coach, and my boxing has been feeling crisp. So I feel like I'm gonna hurt him. I'm gonna finish him on the ground, TKO.
Do you see this fight maybe going late into the third round, or is this a TKO early?
No, he's durable. He's absolutely a durable fighter. I don't expect it to be a quick fight, but obviously, if the opportunity presents itself, I'll pounce on it. But I think that I can hurt him every single round. I can push the pace on him, and eventually, second or third round, maybe get the finish.
And a win over a veteran like this, a guy that's been in the UFC for a while, where does that position you, John? Does this get you maybe close to that top 15, like the back end of it? I mean, I know the bantamweight division is stacked, but where does this put you in the division?
I don't know. I mean, a win here will give me four wins out of my last five. So I'd at least like a conversation of a top 15 guy. And I look at guys who are in the top 15, especially like that last five, the 10 through 15. And I look at them and I watch them and I study them and I'm like, I can beat a lot of these guys. Like in my head, I'm like, wow, I almost feel like safer betting on myself during one of those fights than like some of the guys that I've already fought or I'm about to fight. You know what I mean? So I'm just excited to kind of keep going, keep doing my thing and see what I can accomplish in this division. Absolutely. But like you said, it's the most stacked division in the UFC and the world, to be honest.
What did you think of what Jonathan Martinez did to Adrian Yanez?
What's funny is I was actually just thinking about Adrian Yanez, and that's actually the fighter in my mind. I was just thinking like, wow, that's a very beatable dude. But I thought it was crazy. I mean, he's got crazy inside leg kicks, but he always puts on performances like that. So I think it goes to say something about Adrian Yanez too. Somebody who's already had leg kick finishes, like you'd be able to think that like, okay, maybe I should work on my leg kick defense or checking kicks, like spend that extra time. But I don't think he checked a single leg kick. I think he tried to at some point after his leg was compromised, but I don't know. I think Jonathan Martinez is a beast, and all those guys at the Elevation Fight Team are a beast. So, we got a lot of work to do. All the bandweights got a lot of work to do and a lot to prove. So.
Yeah, that was the reason I asked is that was such an impressive performance over, in my opinion, a really tough guy. And Adrian Yanez, I think I'm saying it right. He made it clear to everyone is
Right.
pronouncing his last name wrong. So is that a fight that you think that maybe in your next couple of matchups we could see as you and Adrian?
I would love it. I mean, I don't know if we're going to see it, but I would love that matchup. I think that guy, and this is no disrespect to Adrian, obviously, or anybody in the top 15, but when up and comer guy who's fighting for a ranking, we look at guys who are in the rankings in the top 15 and we're like, damn, like stylistically, I would love that fight. I think I would match well with him. I think I can beat him. And that's really, everybody feels that way, right? We're all trying to kind of climb that ladder. And so no disrespect to Adrian. I think he's a good guy. He's a tough competitor, but yeah, absolutely. Would I love to fight him? 100%, 1,000%.
Let's stick with this bantamweight division theme just for a second here. I want to ask you about the new champion, Sean O'Malley. I was surprised, to be honest, that he beat Aljo. Now it looks like he's going to be facing Cheeto next for the title. How long do you feel like O'Malley is going to stay the champ, or do you feel like there's someone at the top that's just a bad matchup for him and could take the belt?
I think so. I think there's a lot of guys in the top 5, top 10 who are bad matchups for him. But when you're a superstar like Sean O'Malley, I think you got a little bit of a little bit of a privilege, and you can kind of like pick and choose. Like to be honest, Chito Vera, I feel like the reason he's getting that fight is just to kind of avenge that lone loss that O'Malley has, right? But he wasn't next in line by any means. Like Chito wasn't next in line, but stylistically, it's a very very good fight for Sean O'Malley. So obviously, I think that's going to be a tough fight. I think Chito can honestly get it done. But let's say Chito doesn't get it done. I still think that after that, even it's not going to be, a number one contender like Marab or anything like that. I think Sean O'Malley is going to be able to have the choice to pick and choose, and he'll maybe hold on to it for a little bit. But until he runs into guys like that, like Marab and other really really great grapplers and wrestlers with high fight IQ, I think he's going to hold on to it until then.
Okay, fair enough. Last thing from me, John. 2023 is almost over and done with. We're clearly almost at 2024. What are your goals for next year? What is it you want to accomplish before we get to 2025?
Yeah, so this is actually like a perfect time for me to be fighting. November, I'll take some time off after this fight, enjoy the holidays, right? Enjoy Christmas and New Year's, and then get right back into it early on next year. That's what I hope to do. I want to get in there. I want to get in there early next year and then stay active. So if I can fight, in the first quarter, even first trimester of the first year, and then 2 more through the end of the year. So my goal is to have 3 fights next year and just stay active. That's really my biggest goal.
Can't wait to see you back in there, man. Again, November the 11th, UFC 295. John Castaneda back at it against Kyung Ho Kang. As always, man, I appreciate your time. Great talking to you. Before we do sign off, I want to give you the floor. If there's anyone you want to thank, anything you want to plug, the floor is yours.
Appreciate you, Ryan. Well, first and foremost, obviously, I appreciate you for having me on the show. Everyone at Iridium Sports, my manager, Jason House, Jacob, Jeremy, all those guys for not only giving me opportunities to perform at the highest level, but on the biggest stages. I'm excited to fight New York. All my training partners at the academy, my coaches, Greg Nelson, Nat McIntyre, Andy Grahn, everybody at the Minnesota Martial Arts Academy. And yeah, I'm excited to see you guys November 11th and be ready for a performance of the night.